Don't you want to go? Hi, everybody. I'm Helen Little, and I'm the midday personality at 106.7 Lite FM. It's part of the Clear Channel family, and we're located in New York, New York.
And I'm Dennis Schultz, behind the camera.
Hi, Dennis.
I'm going to be getting to know Helen a little bit. And for those of you who don't know, Helen is a pioneer in radio, especially.
Ooh, that makes me sound old, doesn't it?
No, definitely not. But
I came over on a covered wagon.
We're going to get Helen's perspective on the industry, what it's like to be a woman in the industry, and kind of the future, where you see it going. So, with that, for the people who may not know you, or may not tune into your show, tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to where you are.
Well, I have to push the button because I'm actually working on air right now, just so that the listeners know as well. So, where did she go? What's she doing? I actually started in radio while I was in college. I didn't do college radio. I actually started right out into commercial radio. But radio listening was my passion as a kid. That's how I spent a lot of my time. I loved music. I loved the theater of radio. And I actually started out as a psychology major. The classes were too hard. I was like, I can't do this. I wanted to research sleep and dreams. And a friend of mine was working at a radio station. I went and visited him. I was like, wow, this is cool. Is it hard? He said, no. I switched my major. I got a job. I've been doing it for 25 years now. And what's worked for me is that I learned how to create value by not being limited to what I would do in my scope of my career. I built amazing relationships which have allowed me to do a lot of the different things I've never even dreamed I'd be able to do. And I eliminated the fear of wanting to succeed.
Okay. All right. So when you say you started off in college, what was your alma mater?
UNC Chapel Hill. Go Tar Heels!
Okay, that's not too bad. As long as you're not a
what? Excuse me?
Not a Blue Devil, because
yeah, you're right about that. Oh,
So you started off in college radio? And
no, I never did college radio. My first job was a paying job. Okay. Unlike most people.
All right.
Trust me, I paid plenty of dues. I think I worked 5 years before I ever made it to $5 an hour. And when I got there, it was the biggest deal. It was a celebration. Woohoo! I'm making $5 an hour.
And what was that first job? Were you actually on air?
My first job was on air. There was an ad in a college paper that said, radio personality, no experience necessary. So I'm like, oh my God, this is so my job. And I went home, I told my roommate, she's like, I could care less. But the guy across the hall worked at the public television station. He says, do you have an air check? I'm like, well, what's an air check? And he said, well, it's like a demo. He said, we have a vocal booth. Why don't you come down, bring some records. I'll set you up, and then you can create an air check. So he gave me a big 10-inch reel-to-reel, and I put my voice on tape with the music. It was awful. The program director that I interviewed with laughed at it. I cried. He told me to fill out the application. I'm like, you're not going to hire me. It took me 3 weeks to bring the application back. And when I brought it back, he's like, where have you been? I've been trying to give you a job. You were the only person who showed initiative.
Okay.
So that's how I started.
All right. As far as where your career took you, and the progression, what markets were you in, and I guess what type of job? Because you say you were not limiting yourself, you pretty much do whatever it took. So what type of things?
I won't say I did whatever it took. But
so what type of things did you do?
I don't recommend that.
I'm sure you can tell a story or two.
I could, but they won't be mine. Every now and then my southern accent will slip out. But no, I started in the same format I'm working in now, which is adult contemporary. And, adult contemporary pretty much targets a broad audience of persons 25 to 54. And, like, right now I'm playing the Commodores. Next I'm playing Shakira. Then I'm playing the Bee Gees. I just played Jordan Sparks. And I'm going to do a quick break right now. So my first job was in that format. I worked in that. I worked in top 40. I worked in country. I worked in hip-hop. I worked in dance. I worked in jazz. Did I leave something out? I actually did sports. So, and I've done pretty much every position. I did mornings, I did middays, I did afternoons, I've done nights, I've done overnights. I started in overnights. I was a copywriter, I was a receptionist, I was a continuity director, a production director, a news director, a music director, a program director, an operations manager, a director of urban programming, and let's see, what else did I do?
It's probably
all the part-time weekend stuff.
To figure out what haven't you done.
Well, that's probably a better way to look at it, because then after I did radio, I went and did records for a couple of years, and I was a president of a independent label, and then I was a vice president of a distribution company, the marketing department, and I was an artist manager, and I did consulting, and I've worked in record retail. I've written, had a weekly trade publication column in different magazines, Impact, Gavin, and Airplay Monitor. What else have I done? Gee. So it's been fun.
So what's your passion? I mean, you've done everything. You've
Life
seen a
is
lot.
my passion, actually.
So is this what you see yourself doing, like, indefinitely, as far as
This
music
is one
and
of the
entertainment?
things I'm going to be doing. Currently, I do a lot of speaking engagements. I love motivational speaking. I'm speaking at an event this Sunday. I can't even remember the name of it. That's what I was struggling to do. I do speaking. I'm writing. You can check out my blog. It's Helen Says, or is it Helen R. Little .blogspot.com. And so
I'll post that up so people can check it out.
Yeah, and so you can find out what's going on inside of my head there. Real estate is another passion of mine. So I'm a real estate investor, and currently have 3 properties that I don't rent any of them. I just use them all. It depends. It's like a pair of shoes. If I feel like wearing the heels, I go to that place. If I want to wear flats, I go to that place. But it's like I don't limit myself to anything that I am capable of doing or want to do. It's like, if you can think it, you can do it. If you can dream it, you can be it.
And there's a lot of women who are aspiring entertainers, I'll say, because, you do so much. You could probably inspire a lot of different avenues. What advice would you give to aspiring woman specifically that wants to break into either radio or records?
There's a couple of things. I actually have a 10-point presentation that I like to do in regard to what it is that you do to accomplish whatever it is that you want. And I think the first thing is to know what you want. After you know what you want, study it, research it, learn about it. Know as much as you can, learn as much as you can. Network. Present yourself, in my opinion. I operate from a place of integrity. We kind of joked about that a little bit, but I think that's gone further for me in my career than a little bit. You know what you're getting with Helen. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're getting because it could be spontaneous and creative and different, but it's going to be consistent in regard to how I'm going to deal with you on a professional sense.
Now, have you mentored actively?
Every day.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I just spent the morning talking to one of my coworkers. She's going to speak at a college, and I was like, I asked her, I said, do you like to speak? And she's like, no, I'm terrified. So I said to her, well, that's actually one of my passions, and I gave her some tips and some pointers, and so all of a sudden she's engaged, she's taking notes, and I'm like, wow, I was like, I could take her on as a client.
That's a consulting thing.
And I'm also part of Clear Channel's mentoring program, so once a week I have a young woman that works at the Syracuse cluster that I mentor, plus different people within our building who were on my staff. I was formerly a program director at one of the other radio stations, and they'll bring me the air checks, and I'll sit and I'll listen. Just recently, I can't say who he is, I sent somebody's resume out because I knew someone that was hiring, and I kind of gave him some feedback and some direction and some guidance in regard to that, and constantly, nonstop. And part of what I want to do is share the information and the knowledge and the gifts that I've been given with other people, because somebody did that for me.
Any final words or parting thoughts for our listeners out there in cyberspace, our viewers?
Well, don't limit yourself. And even in your thoughts and what it is that you want, don't limit yourself. Don't say I can't. Don't say I think I can't. And when someone else says it to you, acknowledge them, respect them, be cordial, and keep it moving.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. This is so much fun. Oh, my God.